What's up, y'all? Kyle Hamilton here. I want to give a quick shout out to Lucas, Conor, and Ryan in the Week Zero podcast.
Jackson rolling out, 3rd and 7 after the penalty, and it's a completion to Kuma. He's still running. Kuma breaks free against a tired defense as the Hokies deliver the dagger here in Tallahassee. Empty look for Richardson. Oh, that is danger! Oh my! Keidron Smith cuts inside, and he's gonna six it in the swamp. Cat scratch fever Smith.
DJ is picked off, intercepted again by Benjamin Morrison. Here goes Morrison down the sideline. Can he go? Yes, he can. Touchdown, pick six, Benjamin Morrison. Nix drops back underneath. Touchdown, Ducks. Wow. Chase Taylor.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Hokies Focus. I'm finally back. It's been a long time, a couple of weeks, not a month or so. So I am back doing my season preview for the Virginia Tech Hokies. And hopefully I'm going to keep this short, but not quite a lot has happened, but there's something I definitely want to talk about. So, but before I get started, make sure if you guys enjoy the content, make sure that you like and subscribe to the Week Zero podcast, Week Zero Productions. We're hoping this season's the season I would kind of really break out and kind of build up a little bit more, closing in on 200 subscribers. You know, it's kind of crazy. You know, it's very small, but it's a big deal for us, and so it's very important. Excuse me. My voice has been all bad all day long. I don't know why. But going forward this season, I'm going to be doing a game recap and a game preview. There'll be two separate kind of like short little live streams for myself each week. Probably Monday will be the recap, and then Tuesday will be the preview for the next week, because those are the days that I'm off work. So those are the days that I can do that. And I think that'll just work out good, be able to get that out. And I think also we're going to be doing that as well, moving the actual full show to 2 shows a week, doing the same thing, kind of a recap and then a preview show or stream. But for the Hokies, I mean, the big thing that actually happened is not really getting ready for the season, but that a article came out in ESPN. I'm going to share it real quick. Where is it? There it is. So this article came out 4 days ago, and it's a really fascinating article to read. Talks about exactly what it says there, how Virginia Tech unraveled after Frank Beamer left, and can they actually recover in this kind of post-Frank Beamer era, especially following Justin Fuente and his time at Virginia Tech. So as a fan, you know, the moment I became, you know, no longer wanted Fuente around was really people would jokingly say the ODU game in 2018, but that was a game where we lost our starting quarterback. He broke his leg, and partway through the game, I don't think we would have won anyway, because that was just one of those games where ODU just was the better team, amazingly. But even then, that was a disappointing season. But it was still, I think they won like 8-5, so it wasn't that bad of a season. And the weird thing is that Fuente never actually had. I think the only time he had a losing season, he was like 6-7, so he lost a bowl game. But other than that, he actually was at least finished 500 or better. It's just that the team and the program never took that next step, especially offensively and with quarterback. And they talk about this a little bit, like with the whole Hendon Hooker thing about him not being willing to give Hooker his fair shot, especially in 2020 and 2021. And then he leaves and, you know, is amazing at Tennessee last year. So, but I think this article, a lot of stuff in this was mentioned that if you follow the Hokies, you would have heard of. but there were still some things that took me by surprise. And I think the first thing was obviously, and this was the biggest thing, was it became challenging, was how hard it would be to change the overall mindset of the program after the way it was done for 29 years, which makes sense. I mean, Beamer was there for so long and had been so successful that, the program wasn't going to change the way they needed to, at least anywhere as quickly as possible, as they should have. This I did not know about. According to the most difficult problems was Fuente's fractured relationship with executive associate athletic director John Baleen. I looked it up. I don't think it's Baleen. That's how you say his name. So he's been there since 1987. So he was with Beamer on his first staff, and he was a football administrator. So he was there, kind of filling in. But apparently they clashed at the beginning. Baleen. According to sources, Baleen believed in the way he ran things under Beamer. He bristled at requests to change, and that ultimately forced the program into limbo because he was just unwilling to make those changes. And you can understand that complacency, thinking one way is going to work forever, and it doesn't. You're caught between the old guard and the new guard kind of situation, and that doesn't really help the program, and that leaves it exactly like it says, in limbo. Excuse me. And the two rarely agreed and often butted heads in terms of what players needed, how the program should be ran. I'm just looking through because I remember reading this through. So he was removed in 2018, but I guess it sounded like he was still kind of there. So it was kind of like the Wizard of Oz. You knew he was there, and behind the curtain of whatever was being shot down that Fuente wanted. But obviously, this was kind of when also Fuente's time there really did show that Virginia Tech was not investing enough money into the program, especially compared to Clemson and stuff like that. They were 6 out of 8 public schools in total operating expenses. Their staff was way too small. 5 operations and recruiting staffers. Clemson had 4 times as many. The pool of money that Virginia Tech had for staff and for assistants was not good enough. They finally did increase it, but even now, I think this article even mentions it, even now with the increase Virginia Tech gave Pry, it's still less than Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati obviously just made that jump to the Big 12, but for the fact that they were, a group of 5 team up until this season, and they still don't have enough money for their staff is not the best look. There was another thing too. Apparently, freshman players on campus during the summer did not have air conditioning in their dorms, and there's sometimes up to 3 guys in a room. I don't know. That's kind of ridiculous. And then Virginia Tech did not have a dedicated dining hall at the time, nor a standalone football facility. Now, the dedicated dining hall thing is kind of funny because if you know anything about Virginia Tech is like a top 5 school in terms of like food quality. Like I think they're the highest non-culinary school in terms of actual food quality. It's ridiculous. And the athletic dorms, at least up until now, because I think they've just finished making a football only dorm and dining hall. The athletic dorm is called West End, and it's attached to a dining hall, which is also called West End, or at least the dining hall is called West End. And West End is probably the best place to go to get food on campus. You can get steak, lobster. You can get freshly cooked, hot dogs and burgers. They have freshly made smoothies and ice cream machines in there. What else do they have? I'm trying to remember what else they have in there. It's been a long time since I've been in West End, but even though I'm not a lobster person, I always would tell people that you can get fresh lobster at that place, and that usually was a way that kind of piqued people's interest. Like, oh, interesting. Whenever I told them to consider Virginia Tech, just kind of use that food to kind of nudge them along. But I mean, yeah, West End was popular and a great place to go. And it looks like they also have other problems. Looks like and also this makes me kind of sad. Uh, Virginia Tech's Nike contract doesn't even pay $2 million a year, and it's one of the worst in the Power Five. Oh my god! The more this article went on and on and on, the more I realized, damn, Virginia Tech really is far behind when it comes to how everything works. It really is quite sad. Let me actually zoom in if you can't see this. There you go. Let me be a little bit better. So I mean, yeah, it's just bad. Apparently they also didn't have enough equipment, but then again, especially like gloves and stuff. But apparently I remember seeing some staffers, some former Virginia Tech staffers or equipment managers say on Twitter that players would come to them every single day wanting gloves and stuff, and they're like, we can't do that. They would ask for a new pair of gloves every single day, and they're like, we can't do that. We don't have enough. So, they would just use the previous day's pair or something the next day. So it sounds like it was also just the players kind of being unreasonable, stuff like that. What else? Oh yeah, they opened a new weight room in 2021, but didn't have any weights. They made the decision not to buy any new weights. That uh, weights weigh the same, says Petcock. Oh, oh, that's gonna be like one of my name title things for like week 0. One of these weeks is just gonna be weights weigh the same. I should get like a T-shirt that just says that. Oh my god, that's funny. Oh my god, it's just funny. Apparently, yeah, and then this talks about how players, the culture wasn't always that good. The whole thing with, and then also Fuente interviewing with Baylor apparently caused a lot of problems. Obviously, you know, as a fan at the time, despite how 2018 2019 had gone, um, when we heard that he had interviewed, that really did rub people the wrong way because he had signed the extension the year after having that really good season going to the ACC championship. And for and yeah, and so it says, yeah, Babcock was upset with the way they handled the whole situation. And obviously 2020 kind of went, excuse me, they went, sorry, 5-6. I completely forgot. They did qualify for a bowl, or they would have if they had played another game, I think. And apparently, yeah, they never even considered really reaching out, trying to get Shane Beamer. Now, I don't think if that really worked out. I mean, yeah, made mistakes. This is what I've mentioned before. Fuente specifically, he never recruited he never recruited the state of Virginia well. And the quarterback position just never really took that next step once Gerard Evans left in after 2016. His also unwillingness to start Hooker the entire season, especially in 2021, said kind of doing this weird thing where Burmeister would start some game. Wait, was it 2021? I think it was either 2020 or 2021 where Hendon Hooker and Burmeister would like rotate games, and it was really annoying. And obviously Virginia Tech, every single time Hooker came in, and I think it was 2021, every time he came in the game, the team almost always looked way better, and yet Fuente just wouldn't stick with him. And then we saw how good he was last year, winning SEC Offensive Player of the Year, being a third-round pick, being a Heisman candidate, and probably up until he tore his ACL, he was probably going to finish at least top 2 or 3 in the Heisman. So it's just, yeah, it just feels like, Virginia Tech really, they've been struggling to tread water for years. It's really kind of sad to see that the team and the program never put. It doesn't feel like they put Fuente in a. They never really gave him a chance to fully succeed, because of the clash between him and Baleen, not giving him enough money for his staff, and also his own kind of, his own personality. He very much was an introvert. He didn't like speaking to the press at all. Like, you could tell he didn't like it. I remember talking to him one time, after an open practice he did. I think it was an open night. It was a nighttime open. No, it was just like a spring practice, in like April. I remember talking to him, and he didn't even like talking. He barely even liked talking to me or any fans. I think he was always a reserved kind of guy. Pry's definitely more vocal and fiery. And he's already focused, and Pry's already doing the right thing. He's been focusing more on recruiting Virginia, the state of Virginia. I think he already has like 4 of the top 15 recruits committed, from the 2024 class, and Virginia Tech's on the short list for, I want to say, the number 1 overall prospect in the state. His name's Chris Cole. I think, yeah, they're in the top 6 for him. So, and I mean, yeah, it's this really surprised me. Players, Ollie Jennings, who went to Virginia, who's now at Virginia Tech. He is from Richmond, so he's from inside the state. He said players from Virginia stopped considering Virginia Tech. We weren't going to Tech. Some schools didn't even allow Tech to come into their school anymore. They would sometimes offer guys and then pull their offers to go get another guy from out of state. And it was like, this is supposed to be the home team. We want to go play. We want to go here, but you won't give us the opportunity. There was something else. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, sorry. Weird. There was something else. Oh yeah, what Pry said. They went to Mike Vick's old high school, and one of the coaches said they hadn't seen a Virginia Tech coach there in 6 years. Now Warwick High School, apparently, according to people from the area, know that Warwick is not it's not really a powerhouse school anymore. I guess there's not really been any good recruits that have come out there in a long time. Was it further down here? I remember seeing like one of the things literally was like Jennings either said, I think coaches would literally tell him, don't go to Virginia Tech, just don't, because they're not winning. So it's not worth them going. And so that's not good. That's not good to, football wise, people joke, but like for the most part, you would, Virginia Tech, at least historically, at least in the past 25, 30 years, despite this lull that they've been in recently, is the football kind of powerhouse, at least in the state, right? Despite their lack of success in winning a championship, but they've won ACC championships, they've won bowl games and stuff like that. Even Virginia can't even say that they've done that. I don't even know I don't even know the last time they actually won a bowl game. Sorry, that didn't mean to be a dig at them, but yeah, it's just kind of nuts. This whole thing. There's also been talk about whether Virginia Tech would fit in with the SEC, with the whole, realignment situation. I have no idea. I think they kind of fit just because of how popular they are, how big of a fan base they actually have, despite these down years they've had. How they do pretty good. They don't always sell out, but they at least sell out. They sell a good number of tickets. Virginia Tech travels decently well, as well. So I think they'd fit in. Obviously, I think that would also help them in recruiting wise. And yeah, you can see this, once I'm done talking with this, I was going to go into their schedule. I guess this will be kind of a good way to kind of segue in, but ESPN has them going 5-7 this year. So I think, you know, this whole article is just kind of nuts. Um, and it's just kind of crazy to think, to see how the program has really kind of suffered and declined in recent years. Um, and hopefully they can figure it out and take that step forward under Pry. He seems like he's doing the right thing. Kind of what's the word I'm trying to think of? Um, he seems like he's a better fit because he's worked under Beamer, and he has that rapport with the program. And they're going to give him he's going to get at least a third year, unless even if this year is catastrophically bad like it was last year. If they go 5-7, 6-6, I think he'll definitely get at least another year, maybe even two. If it's another 3-9, they didn't have their 12th game because of the UVA shooting at the end of the year, so they didn't play that game. So that's why they were 3-8. And I fully do kind of believe that they probably would have won that game because UVA was the only team worse than them last year. And Virginia Tech was coming off a good win at Liberty. That, I remember watching the highlights recently of that game. It showed how important it was to win that game for them. And, getting into the schedule is kind of interesting. When I looked back, last year was a season where, despite the record, the team got better as the season went on, and they should have finished with a far better record. I think they should have gotten at least 5, maybe even 6 wins, because I think they lost because the defense. It took a while for the defense to kind of get going because Pry took over, I think, running the defense, or he was running it, and I think he has given up control of it this year, if I remember correctly. But I think they had like 2 or 3 games where the Hokies gave up. They had 14-point leads and blew them. Excuse me, my God, my voice is just cracking right now. I just sound like a little kid all the time right now. I apologize, but yeah, they blew, I think, 2 or 3 14-point leads in 2 or 3 different games. So yeah, I think they could have finished with 5 or 6 wins. Obviously, make the season better than it actually would have been, and that would have been far better for them. I think they blew, off the top of my head, I think they blew the NC State and the Georgia Tech game, because I remember seeing the NC State game. I swear, I think they were up 21-7. They blew it at NC State, and I remember seeing that. I was like, "Oh, look at that! They're actually doing good." And then, nope, that was devastating. So now I'm gonna go through their schedule real quick, and the way I see this is, if any of you follow baseball, and especially on YouTube, you may have heard of a guy named Draftnik Mark, who is a Mets fan, and he's become kind of a joke in that people will say, like, I'm becoming Draftnik this, because he'll be like a super homer about stuff. And so I'll be Draftnik Conor right now. And this is my thinking on how ultimately the season could go, or just the reason why I think Virginia Tech could win these games before. This is what I'm going to say for all of them before I get to my actual thoughts on the teams. Okay, if that makes sense. Old Dominion at home, obviously playing at them is our kryptonite, it seems. But the last 2 times we've played them at home, we've beaten them by like 30 both times. Obviously, it's a lot different having them come to us. Us going to them obviously is a benefit to them, but still, I think that should be, a win. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a decent amount of money being bet on them. I would not be surprised at all. Purdue, the reason why I think Purdue could lose, or Virginia Tech could win, is because Purdue lost their head coach And so I feel like that could be at least demoralizing enough. It's only their second game of the season. So, things could, still be trying to get that figured out. It's a road game as well at a tough environment. It's kind of interesting they're playing now. I can't remember if this is the same, not the same, but if this is Virginia Tech played Purdue back in 2015 at Purdue and they blew them out. But of course, that was when Purdue was not that good. But there's been some recent history, so I don't know. That's a toss-up game, I think. Rutgers, it's Rutgers. I mean, it's at them, sure, but I would hope that they would win. If Rutgers wins, then honestly, I probably expect Rutgers to get at least 6 wins. But Rutgers, the past 2 years, has had a chance to get 6 wins, and they've lost, I think, the last 2 or 3 games each to prevent them from getting 6 wins, which is just kind of tragic for them. Marshall, it's at Marshall. That's going to be a big time test, I think, both for them and for us. Marshall obviously beat Notre Dame, and they went, I think they got at least 9 wins last year. I'm sorry if I keep looking down. I'm checking. I'm also following the Orioles game. So, but yeah, that'll be interesting game to see who wins that. And then Pitt. The only reason I think they could win is that because they're not playing at Pittsburgh, and playing at Pittsburgh has always been hell on earth for Virginia Tech in years past. There have been some terrible, terrible losses, not just like gut wrenching, but just utter blowouts in years past. There's a really bad one 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago when they played at Pitt. When they played, no, I can't remember. I just remember Kenny Pickett blowing them out one time at Pittsburgh, and that was not fun. Florida State, I don't think there's any chance they can beat Florida State unless they somehow are 5-0 coming in and the offense is looking great and the defense looks great and they put up a chance. The only reason I can think is that the last time they played Florida State at Florida State, they beat them in a game that no one expected them to win, even though Virginia Tech at that time was ranked. I'm sure if you were paying attention, there's the play for Virginia Tech for the intro of our show is from that game. That was as they said, the dagger. Virginia Tech won 21-3. It was just a bad game for Florida State. Bunch of mistakes by them. So that was a fun game to watch back in 2018, and that was in 2018. So there was a lot of fun going from after that game until the Old Dominion game, of course. Wake, it's at home, and I don't know what to expect they don't have Sam Hartman anymore, and they don't have their top wide receivers from last year. I think the guy who was really good, I can't remember his name. Was it JT? It's like LT or JT Perry. He's not there anymore. So I don't know. It's whatever you can expect. Syracuse. Now, this Syracuse, seeing this is playing Syracuse. This was the game that really made me not want Fuente anymore. Was when Virginia Tech was up, I want to say like 9 points. They had like 9 or 10 points, like 5 minutes left in the game against Syracuse at home in, I think it was 2021. And they blew it and they lost. And I think that was the game that excuse me, sorry, that was my stomach. That was the game that people really started to turn against Fuente, myself included. Do we have comments? Didn't see. Sorry, Nick, I didn't see that you were there, man. How you doing? Michigan on top. We're not talking about Michigan, but okay, man. Yeah. Louisville, everyone's high on Louisville, which is kind of surprising. And I'm not sure what to think. I know Josh would prefer if Louisville's not good, but he thinks they're going to be at least okay, but then, lose to Kentucky, of course. But so that'll be interesting. But it's at Louisville. I expect that could be a loss. Boston College, I think reasonably could be, I don't know, the second or third worst team in the conference. And I think Virginia Tech should win this game. I would hope. The only good thing is that it's probably not going to be the red bandana game. That's usually a game that they win because that's a pretty emotional game for them. That's usually earlier in the season as well. So I just think Boston College is going to be pretty bad. NC State, they don't have Leary there anymore. I don't remember who's the quarterback. But I don't know. That's going to be interesting to see how that'll go. And then Virginia's probably going to be the worst team in the conference. It just feels like there's no momentum with them at all. All I've been seeing on Twitter is I've been seeing Virginia fans even saying that, like, man, this program just feels like it's completely stuck. Seeing Virginia Tech get all those recruits recently, despite what Virginia Tech has gone through recently. So, I think that should be a win. Obviously, they were supposed to play each other last year at Virginia Tech. Like I said, that game was canceled. So ultimately, this is good. This will first I'll give best case scenario. Win. Now, I'll be straight honest. Best case would be winning all three non-conference. Lost to Pitt, lost to Florida State, maybe a win to the Deacons. Loss, win, loss, win. So maybe best case would be 7-5. Like I said, I think best case would be, like I said, winning all of their non-conference. If they do that, then that's at least good. That should guarantee them at least 6 wins in a bowl game. And that would be a great step forward after this past season. Worst case is probably losing to Purdue, to losing two of these 3 games right here. They beat Old Dominion, but they go into the Pittsburgh game 2-2, lose that game, then lose to Florida State. They're 2-4. Maybe they beat Wake 3-4. Syracuse to back up to 4-4 with a loss. Win. Actually, even with that still would take it to 7-5. Potentially, I don't know maybe NC State could be a loss. So 6-6, but that would be the worst case in terms of like how the season would feel like it's going, right? If they lose 2 of these 3 games, if 2 of these 4 games going into the ACC part of their schedule, I don't think they'd be feeling good about themselves. If they're 3-1 and they lose, maybe they lose to Purdue or they lose to Marshall. Marshall's a good team, obviously. Maybe they lose to them, but they win the other 3 and the 3-1 heading into Pitt. Maybe they're feeling confident somewhat. But either way, I think I would hope 5-7. I'm trying to just see. Maybe it's because they. If I had to guess, I would think the wins would be win. Yeah, okay. Probably the wins if based on what ESPN is saying would be Old Dominion, Rutgers, probably Wake, maybe Syracuse, Boston College, and Virginia, and that'd be 5. Is that 5? No, wait. Yeah, that'd be 5. So yeah, ESPN, I think that's probably the 5 they're probably giving them. And I mean, that's a step forward, but I think at this point you would hope to get them to 6 wins, get that next step going, feel really good, and then make a bowl game. Maybe win that. You finish with a 7-6 record. You're feeling really good about the team going into 2024. You got a really good 2024 class coming in with so many good players coming in, especially from Virginia. You got a few recruits. There's Chris Cole. I think he's going to commit. He says he's going to commit sometime in September, early September. I think it's like September 10th or somewhere around that area. So Maybe you get Chris Cole, you really cement that. You maybe cement a top 30, maybe even top 25 recruiting class for the 2024 season. You're feeling really good going in, and maybe depending on how Chiron Drones looks like at quarterback, if he gets any playing time, and depending on how Grant Wells looks, obviously that's the big deal. That's the big thing. Maybe you're feeling confident somewhat. Drones, and obviously and then you got Davy Belfort coming in, uh, helping recruit a lot for the team as well. But I think, yeah, I want to be optimistic, and I am feeling good with how the program is looking, despite how that article came out, and despite all the negativity around that article. Worse than Duke. Well, I mean, Nick, I'll be honest. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about Duke was good last year, and I think Riley Leonard is a good quarterback. But Duke had a really soft schedule last year. I know this is Virginia Tech, but I'll really quickly say this. Yeah, so I think 6-6 is, it's not even that optimistic. I think the schedule is not hard. Other than Florida State and probably Louisville, those are the two hardest games, really. And they're both on the road. If you're able to, steal one against, if you're able to win, I mean, you get Pittsburgh, you get Wake, you get Syracuse, you get NC State. Those are kind of teams that are like kind of, they're not in limbo, but you don't really know what to expect because there's a lot of change. Dino Babbers is he's the one coach most on the hot seat in the ACC. If he doesn't get 6+, if he doesn't get a bowl game, I think he's gone. From Syracuse, right? NC State, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think about them. They've been kind of weird all for the past couple years. Wake, same thing. It's total unknown how they're going to be without Sam Hartman. Pitt, it's Pitt. They're kind of a problem team for Virginia Tech all the time, actually, regardless where they play. But yeah, I think if they go, I think 6-6 is would be a really good season. I think that'd be a good stepping stone to feel good about. But since you mentioned them, let me do Duke real quick. If this will load. Ooh, what the heck? This is looking so dang weird. Oh my god. My laptop's being so dang slow right now. I apologize. 2016? What the hell? Oh my god, what is going on? Okay. I'm sorry, Nick. I know you're the only one here, but I appreciate you being here, man. I really do. It means a lot. And actually, it's kind of surprising. Hokie Focus is one of the more popular kind of streams for us, or like team-oriented streams, because we have a few. Okay, so this is Duke last season. So where did they go? They went 9-4. So that's pretty good. So they lost to Kansas. Kansas was good last year. Lost to Georgia Tech and North Carolina. I wonder if that. I think this Georgia Tech game was the game after they fired their head coach, and that was the interims coming back. Nope, sorry, they didn't. Virginia Tech didn't blow a lead. Never mind. That was Duke. Sorry. Florida State, then they lost to Pitt. Okay, and they beat UCF in Annapolis. Nice. Okay, so you look at their schedule, and they avoided, other than UNC and Pitt, they avoided all of the tough teams. They avoided Florida State. They avoided Clemson. And this year, Nick, what you were trying to. Well, Nick, I just let you know about this. Yeah, this is going forward. I appreciate you catching this. Um, but going forward, this will be a weekly thing for me. It'll be I'll do a review of each game and a preview of the next game, and then every Thursday and I think every Tuesday we'll be doing streams with everybody else. Yeah, and yeah, Nick, make sure you like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 200 subscribers. But yeah, Clemson or Duke. I just think Duke just has a way harder schedule this year. They get Clemson. They open the season versus Clemson at home. They then get Notre Dame at home. Then they play at Florida State and at Louisville and at North Carolina. That is just so much harder of a schedule that I don't know if Virginia Tech will be better, but Duke will definitely, I think, have a worse schedule or worse record. I honestly think they could lose all 5 of those games. That's 5 losses right there. And, that's, I think, at least 4 of those, I think they're going to lose. I think pretty much I think they're going to lose Clemson, Notre Dame, Florida State, and Louisville. And I just don't think I think that's going to be 5 losses right there for Duke, despite how good Riley Leonard is last year, or how good he was last year and how good he is as a quarterback. I don't know. I think Elko is a good quarterback, is a good coach. It's just the schedule is just unbelievably tough. And honestly, I think Clemson could knock the snot out of them at the beginning of the season. And I think that's what's going to hurt Duke. And so, he turned the team around, Elko did. I think he was coach of the year last year. But it's just the schedule is so much more difficult for them. That I could see, I don't know if Virginia Tech would be a better team head-to-head because they don't play each other this year. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, Nick, I appreciate you being here. I've been talking a long time, 45 minutes nearly. Make sure everyone that does see this afterwards, after this, make sure you like and subscribe. Help us get to that 200 subscriber mark. Like I said, going forward, I will do a live stream every Monday and Tuesday. Monday will be a review of the weekend's game for Virginia Tech. Now, I won't be able to see every game live. More than likely, I won't be able to because I work Saturdays. It'll probably be the highlights, or if it's on YouTube TV somehow, whether it's on ESPN or like ACC Network, I'll probably try and rewatch the whole thing come Monday just for me to see it. And then Tuesday will be a preview of the upcoming game for Virginia Tech because I'm off those 2 days. So be sure you like and subscribe for all that. This has been the Hokie Focus on the Week 0 podcast, Week 0 Productions. Make sure you like and subscribe. And also make sure you get some Dubby Energy. We've been sponsored by them, and we've been trying to get that going. So, hope we can get some ad revenue from that, the 5 cents. But it's been a lot of fun doing this, and I can't wait to see how this season goes for Virginia Tech. I'm also just happy that football is back, honestly. And I'm excited to see where the program goes despite all the negativity from that article. But I will be back it'll be 2 weeks or so till I do the next one because Virginia Tech does not play on Week 0. But until then, I will see you guys on the next Hokie Focus. And